I might put the button down. Nightbot, damn it. Nightbot, that's it, you're done. Damn robot, I have to reset his brain ever so often. Okay, put that takes that, put this in back in, okay, plug in. Oh, wait. That goes the other way around. Alright, I think. Okay. His eyes never light up like that killer before. Okay. That's a new error code. Right, okay, well, anyway. Haha, hit you. Okay, just a little bit of robot trouble there. Okay, I feel off kilter as usual. Yep, I am. How the hell that happens, I have no idea. Okay, so solid Monday. Wasn't quite too sure what to play. I was kind of had debating Farm Sim, but it's like, yeah, it's Monday. Let's shoot something. Yeah, let's go shoot something. Helps if I switch to the right scene, right? Yeah, I'm batting 1,000. Okay. Australia or New Zealand? I'm not gonna lie, New Zealand is boring as hell. I swear if there's like even a half a grain of sand under that mouse pad. I was thinking of Australia because I was watching vintage baking shortcuts or shorts on YouTube, and apparently there is a recipe in Australia for a type of biscuit that is protected by law. And the baker was pointing out that you didn't want to piss them off because they had kangaroos. It's like, nah. It's not the kangaroos you have to watch out for in Australia. It's the fucking spiders. Okay, so yeah, let's maybe not do that. Let's see. Kind of half inspired by to maybe go do some Salzwiesen, but as much as like Raventuli is almost all small game and like birds, Salzwiesen is literally all small game. The highest thing you'll ever see here is like a class 2. I don't know where to go. Let's see here. Pigs, gators. Well, let's see, gators. Let's go Mississippi. Got a nice creepy summer camp. Meow. Kerplunk. Okay, let's see here. Guess I got my AR. Glock 20. Okay. So let's think about my loadout here. How am I going to do this today? So inline muzzleloader handles just about everything that you would do with a 308. Got my 223. My fistful of fuck off. 10 mil. And this is one of the guns from the new pack, and for the weight, there's no reason to not have this thing. Let's see here. Okay, on 410 shot. Okay, so we're at 18 out of 23. You've got standard AR, because I refuse to hunt without one. Our kind of jack of all trades guns that I enjoy. The shotgun you have to have a shotgun. Also the lightest one in the game so far. I actually pointed out in a previous stream, this is actually the Chiappa Big Badger. These are about 225 bucks if you can find one. But yeah, they have single shot break action. They, as far as I know, they do not do 45 Colt. And you're probably thinking, why not? Well, because 45 Colt and 410 shot shells have a very different pressure curve. I'm debating if I want to pack this little lever action 22 Magnum. This is one of the new ones as well. I like the fact that it's got that adjustable AR stock, but at the same time, it's 22 Magnum, and 22 Magnum is good for up to, like, well, let's take a look. Yeah, 22 Magnum. Good for up to class 2, so it's on par with, like, the 22 Hornet. So I think these are actually both rimfire cartridges. I know the 22 Magnum is, in fact, a rimfire. 22 Remington, 22 rimfire Magnum. And it's one of those things that it's just... I kind of got a soft spot for the... if I can come down and find it here. It's this guy. Little bolt action 22 Hornet. I'm going to say that I think the 22 Hornet does have a longer barrel. But I mean, it's like there's not a whole lot of class 2 critters out here that you could actually make use of that. And even then, you know, it's like that's kind of what this guy's for. Class 2 to 4. Class 1, class 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 4 to 9, 2 to 6. Also, this is just like, you know, something's about to stomp on you. Okay, so there's feral pigs here. As much as I love this rifle, I think it might not be a bad idea to maybe swap it for something else. This is one of the another of the new guns. It's a pump action rifle, and this is a 257, which is a very weird round. Designed for deeper penetration, delivers a solid performance and strong ballistics performance, relatively lower kick, recoil, and takedown 2 to 6. So in that regard, it's kind of on par with like your 7.62x39, your SKS. That's why 300 Blackout's got a little bit too much oomph for what it's designed to do. So, yeah, it's kind of one of those things. It's like I could do the 257, or I could just take an SKS. I said I really want to make some more use of the Mosin, but I'm thinking. I think the largest critter we have is the alligators at tier 7. Okay, axis deer from the eastern cottontail is a thing. Hog deer. What? Okay, black bear, whitetail, raccoon, alligator, quail, gray fox, wild hog, wild turkey. Okay. Da. So American alligator is tier 7. And let's see here. Black bear, tier 7. I think whitetail is tier 4. Yeah. So we really don't have anything above tier 7, so we don't really need the most horsepowered up stuff we can get our hands on. It basically comes down to, what do I want to shoot? .30-30 is a 2 to 6, which is kind of weird. It's like I can take one more, which is pretty much just what I want to shoot for fun. This is the 44 Magnum. There's something about the lever actions in this game. In real life, I'm totally fine with lever actions, but for some reason, just lever actions in this game are just not quite doing it. I'm inclined to take this one because lever actions of 4 to 8. This one I think takes modern scopes as well, and you can top it up. Then we got our AK. Like, I also kind of want to rock the Mosin, but at the same time, I don't know. Okay, so this is Mississippi Acres. Everything's going to be relatively close range, but that said, we still get the occasional long range. So I think my optic situation is good. I just need to figure out what I want to actually shoot. It's like I got so many varieties. But my only problem here is the fact that, it's like there's so many bolt actions. Because let's face it, that's kind of how history turned out, right? Yeah, all manner of muzzleloaders for centuries. Then about 1850, so I think it's about 1858, right? Everything changed with the advent of the self-contained cartridge. So yeah, obviously I've had the one gun to rule them all. That'd probably be the 308 AR, right? It's one of those things. There's guns I love, and at the same time, there's interesting stuff that I want to try to mess with. Yeah, let's go ahead and take the 44. Okay, 44 Magnum is 3 to 8. fascinating. As far as why I'm taking the 44, because one, in reality, I'd actually really love to get a Smith & Wesson 1894, which is a 44 Magnum lever action. And personally, I'd like to have it tricked out with like full M-Lock fore end, and all tactical and shit. Basically, get rid of as much wood as possible and modernize it. Pretty much just because you can. Not to mention, it's like there's certain legalities in certain states when it comes to hunting. And then again, you might also live in a state that's not particularly as free as it should be. Like where Colorado is heading. But the main reason why I'm taking it here is because it's like for deer, bear, most things you can stop and, take aim. This will do the job. But if there's like a gaggle of feral hogs running around, you're going to need to pop them and top them, right? Pop them and top up your tube. This one has the King's Gate, so that went up is like nothing. That's where this is a 3 to 8. That is very weird. That said, max out range is 150 meters, which actually is not that bad considering where we are. Like 100 meters would probably be like the best zero, because within the ranges you're going to be shooting here, like you might be lucky to get 100 meters. Yeah, like that tree is 112. So basically, mid setting is pretty much going to be pretty much the MPB, maximum point blank, for what we're shooting here. If it's a little closer, you'll shoot a little higher. If it's a little further away, you might shoot a little low. And it's like, you don't really need to futz with your equipment that much if you have enough information. And I'm kind of generalizing the ballistics. Okay, now here's the thing. Like, every so often we get these big, wide, open, expansive fields, and you're really not going to find anything running around in there. So yeah, you may have a clear line of sight all the way to the next tree line. Not exactly the best idea to take that shot. As fond as I am of single shot break actions, I'm starting to think that when it comes to the quail, this may be a bit underwhelming just because of the fact that it's one and done, right? Usually when it comes to birds, you have several of them. So I can pretty much guarantee that this little break action 410 bore is more or less a bunny buster. I guess the only real reason to take this one out of your inventory is if you just absolutely can't stand the single shot, or if you're getting into a little bit more hardcore waterfowling and such. I'm kind of thinking maybe what I ought to do is go back to a safe house and grab the shotgun scope instead of the red dot. Because when we find quail, they're usually on the ground. And without any kind of magnification, well, better than the errands, right? Great. Bunnies. Okay, we got a rabbit to find. You little shit. Of course. He runs up here. And tries to get away. Worth it. Okay, so okay, so this thing is definitely worth it just to have a bunny buster just like right there at all times. And on top of that, we can also end up swapping to a buckshot. Maybe see if we can't get the raccoons. Yeah, I'm thinking the next safe house we get to, I'm going to go ahead and swap this out for the shotgun scope. Not gonna lie, trying to get the raccoons is kind of a pain in the butt. I'll be completely honest with you, when it comes to the rabbits, I'm kind of no longer inclined to give a shit about getting a trophy for a rabbit. more than enough bunny trophies to go around. Ooh, I'm seeing blood spats. I'm seeing a lot of blood splats. Okay, definitely wanted to zigzag. I think I was reading on a forum somewhere. Somebody was talking about chasing down the raccoons, and that was a thing. Yeah, it's kind of funny because you can chase down the bunnies just fine. I do it all the time, but the raccoons, for whatever reason, for some reason, tend to take off way faster than they have any business doing. Wait a minute. Bunny tracks. Shit. Yeah. I don't know about anybody else, but I can never seem to actually chase down a raccoon. Give me 1 second here. Gotta swap out a power cord real quick. Okay. See, I think this is an outpost. Yeah, alright. Now the question, is this one of the nice ones, or... Uh, how many satellite dishes do you need? A little odd. Yeah, this is one of the nice ones where they were working on moving in. Okay, so we're going to ditch that. We're going to go ahead and outfit it with a scope that weighs more than the gun. You know, one of the things I hope they never actually introduce in Call of Wild, snakes. Mmm. If that was hard to catch bunnies and raccoons, man, all of a sudden you get a snake. Ooh, that's got the potential to kill you. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, okay, it doesn't actually have what the weight is. You actually have to be in the catalog screen, the outfitting screen, to see what the weight is. Okay, what do we got on here? Regular exhaust. Hate that, get a tickle in my ear. this is going to make a little bit more sense. Mythical, you say? There is just enough tree in the way. Like, I can try, but I just about guarantee. Wait. Okay. Oh my fucking god. I swear this dog has the IQ of tapioca. Okay, let's go back to where we actually took a shot at it and see what kind of hit do we get. Ooh, I do not like the fact that it was like spitting distance away from my tent. No organs hit. Great. Huh. Gator is not dead, which kind of makes me wonder where the hell did I hit him? Just kind of thought of something. I was watching. If anyone's like a Resident Evil fan, there is this girl, Sphere Hunter. I think her name's actually Susie Hunter. It's like that's her. That's like that's like actually her Instagram. But she's a huge Resident Evil and like Silent Hill, Parasite Eve, like super fan, gamer nerd. Very cute. Very stick figure skinny. Also likes to cosplay as Resident Evil characters. But she has these really good deep dive retrospectives on various Resident Evil games, and she recently took on Resident Evil Outbreak and the not quite sequel, but technically the other half of the game, File 2. And I actually have both of these. I'm actually looking at them right now. But it was kind of funny. She kind of pointed out that in newer Resident Evils, you really don't see like the after action of like what happened after the story. I remember Resident Evil 6, I think, did. Like previous Resident Evil games, like the first one through 3, you actually had these still photos of like Jill Valentine hanging with friends in a bar somewhere. Rebecca Chambers doing something, and he's like, I don't even remember what the hell her story was at the end of RE0. Wait a minute. No, wait. The character's not dead, right? Another fucking rabbit zone. I kind of raises the question: whatever did happen to Rebecca? It's like we know her story in Resident Evil 0. She starts off as part of STAR's Alpha team. Transporting a military criminal, Billy Cohen. I don't think she was actually part of the escort for him. Okay, okay, yeah, it actually looks pretty good. Okay. Okay, so we know that the gator did not die, which is annoying. Okay, so anyway, I was talking about the whole thing with Rebecca Chambers from Stars, right? She starts off in Resident Evil 0 as a bit more capable than she was in the original game. So if I'm mistaken, Stars Alpha Team goes in and investigates a strange occurrence in the woods. There's this train that derails, and this is what was transporting Billy. He's one of those characters that's kind of supposed to be not exactly a great dude, but you know his story. He's basically a Marine that was ordered to do something horrible and ended up taking the fall for it instead of his commander. So in comes Star's Alpha Team. They end up investigating and finding this outbreak of these weird mutant leeches. Everything goes banana sandwich, and Rebecca then somehow ends up in the Spencer Mansion, where the original Resident Evil starts off, and stars Bravo team with Chris Redfield and Wesker and Jill Valentine go in. I gotta admit, the Resident Evil remake, they definitely improved Rebecca's character quite a bit, because in the original game on PlayStation 1, oh boy, she was the biggest ditz. Yeah, she's just been through a complete nightmare where she knows that there's monsters all over the place, zombies. When you first meet her in Resident Evil, there. She's in a safe room. Chris opens the door, and she immediately pepper sprays the crap out of him. I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, wait a minute. She survived the first game with a helicopter crash and fighting a giant scorpion and all this other shit, and this weird leech monster that really only dies when you burn all of them to death. Chris opens the door, and she hits him with pepper spray? Like, yeah, obviously, obviously looking back, clearly they hadn't actually planned on, ooh, bullseye. They clearly hadn't planned on really fleshing out Rebecca's character in the original game that much, and it's kind of an afterthought in the prequel to actually make it a little bit more capable, right? So this is kind of one of the problems of having two development teams working on a project 20 years apart. Yeah. But still, even then. Okay. Bulletproof chain link fence. Rainbow Six Vegas all over again. Actually, truth be told, I wouldn't mind getting Vegas 1 and 2 on Steam. Problem is I have to go through all that shit again. Because here's the thing, Rainbow Six Vegas 1 and 2, I played the hell out of these games on Xbox 360. And backwards compatible Xbox One as well. They do work. But the amount of hours I have in that, oh my god. I had everything unlocked. Because let's face it, if you're, or even remotely good at the game, it's not difficult to unlock stuff in that game. Okay, there was a raccoon hauling balls through the woods over there. Yeah, I was actually really fond of Rainbow Six Vegas 1 and 2. Out of the whole series, I think those are probably my two favorites. Like, I like the gameplay from 2 better than 1. The story in 1 was better. Yeah, 2 had a better selection of armaments, better customization. Even if it was weird that they ended up deleting certain armor sets from the first game while maintaining parts of armor sets, like there's this whole thing with the Colossus set, which is kind of like the mercenary set, right? Had the kind of sleek, high grade. Not really the most practical, but it was body armor, but it didn't have any like mag pouches or anything on it. And you had the full set in the first game, but for some reason in the second game you only had like the vest and that was it. You had to kind of mix and match. So if you wanted a full set of gear, you're kind of out of luck. But always remember that game had, I think both of them had the ability to use the Xbox 360's webcam to capture your face and plaster it onto your character. And you have no idea how many people had just no clue how to take a picture with proper lighting that wasn't, overly saturated and whitewashed. Even though the actual Xbox 360 webcam was kind of shit in the first place, right? Functional, but not exactly something you would use to actually face map a character, right? Well, a couple of tricks of lighting and a little tweak here and there, you could actually get it to be somewhat functional. You could end up reasonably getting your face onto your character's head. I was remember there's this one guy that had this big stupid ass grin and had his lights on way too bright so he could look kind of whitewashed. So the outfit he wore was purple because his whole thing was being the Joker. Of course, tactical shooter, right? Camouflage actually works. Unless, of course, your head is like, bleached polar bear ass white. That's it. I really do miss that game. There's a lot of games I miss from like the 360 era. And actually, if I think about it, Vegas 1 and 2 would be available for like a song on Steam. Hmm. So trying to get an idea for Plasmid. Oh, speaking of that, I just noticed Porcelain Maid is apparently playing Bioshock for the first time, which is a little unusual. I would swear that Joel would have had a little bit more of a history with something like that. I think it's currently up to Bioshock 2. But that's something I ought to do. Halloween. Gonna do a revisit of the Bioshock series. It's kind of one of those things. Bioshock is one of those franchises that you already know how the story ends. You played it a couple dozen times, but I should say it's just that good that you keep going through and playing it. I'm gonna go ahead and say that Bioshock 2 is kind of the black sheep of the series. If not mistaken, Bioshock 2 is a separate team. There you are. Dog, shut the fuck up. That little bastard stood up and nailed the center mass. Please tell me we are looking for a dead raccoon. Because I'm not seeing hunting pressure yet. Which means he's probably still alive. Okay, what the hell was this fucking raccoon wearing body armor? What the fuck? Tracking. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, seriously, what is going on with the bulletproof raccoons? Ah, oh, you little. Okay. Okay, so far this thing is turning out to be a bunny buster, and that's pretty much it. I'm actually kind of pissed off that it has failed twice now to kill a raccoon. It's kind of those things, you know, it's like, it's only 2 pounds, so it's like, it's real tempting to keep this in your inventory, but at the same time, it's still a 410 bore. And there's just something about 410, which is just absolutely atrocious. It's too small, it's too underpowered. It's like for snakes and rabbits, I guess it's fine, but you know, it's like I'm starting to wonder what the hell is the point of a 410 bore shotgun. Okay, real quick. Okay, that's the buckshot. So we got 5 pellets in there. Meanwhile, birdshot. Okay, answers that question. Slug, pretty self-explanatory. So that's the thing about it. If we're patterning our 410 bore buckshot, there's only 5 pellets in it. Okay, now let's take our... No. Let's not do a 16 gauge. Let's do a proper 20 gauge. Okay, so... .20 gauge buckshot. That's a lot. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Wait. That is buckshot, not birdshot, right? Oh, Jesus. Okay. Okay, so we compare that. To 12 gauge buckshot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Birdshot. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8. Okay, so 12 gauge birdshot, tier 1, right? Buckshot 2 to 5, slug at 4 to 8. Okay, 4-pound gun versus a 2-pound gun. Twice as heavy, but also just a better gun. It's one of those things, like, I really want to love this thing, and at 2 pounds, that that's not insignificant. My ass is killing me on this fucking chair. Good lord. But it's one of those things, just the 410 bore ammo. It's like the birdshot's fine. The buckshot is just like, no. And the slugs, well, we haven't really had a chance to get too in depth with those. Also, for some reason, these two do not work in the handgun, which is weird. I guess probably because it was never actually coded for that. Unfortunately, I'm thinking I'm going to have to get rid of the 410 bore. Because it's just does not have the oomph. Oh, rain. I'm going to look that up real quick. Ow! It's like I've got all kinds of padding on this chair and it still doesn't fucking work. Okay, uses of .410 shotgun. I think small game like squirrels and rabbits, pest control, vermin like rats and snakes, and target shooting. Minimal recoil makes it ideal for beginner shooters and younger hunters. Small size, manageable weight. Survival and utility purposes. Advancements in ammunition have made it a viable option for turkey hunting, as well as personal defense and handguns like the Taurus Judge. This is the AI answer, right? Well, the 410 shotgun is anything but boring. Well, it's definitely not boring, but at the same time... Okay, it's weird. Okay, so in reality, 410 is actually seeing kind of a resurgence in popularity because of things like the Judge, right? I'm not going to take that because I had an idea of just to go ahead and grab the handgun because lightweight, why not? It only handles the birdshot. It cannot use the buckshot or the slug. It's kind of one of those deals where it's like, yeah, the Judge showed up in reality, and yeah, people have been just loving the idea of having a shotgun handgun, But at the same time, it's just, yeah, supposedly they're making actual defensive loads. What am I seeing over there? Bupkis, okay. I gotta look that up. 410 bore defensive load. Okay. Winchester Defender. 4 tambour, 3 defensive discs. Okay. 3 defensive discs and 12 plated BBs. Meanwhile, if we take into account the firearm blog, which is probably one of the better sources for information, Taurus Judge is not the first 14 caliber revolving shotgun handgun hybrid, but has been by far the most successful. Okay, yeah. This is the thing about it, it's like for the price of the Taurus Judge, you could very easily get a proper defensive handgun. So what is the MSRP on the Taurus Judge? Yeah, this is one of those things I nerd the fuck out on. Oh, now there's the Raging Judge. Okay, so standard Taurus Judge, public defender model. Okay, let's take a look at this guy, Taurus Judge, stainless steel, 3-inch barrel. $732 MSRP. Yeah, for that price, you could very easily pick up a Glock 19 with a couple extra mags and ammunition, and be far better armed. I do know that there is a Judge Magnum, which is the typical Judge profile, but I want to say like 54 Casull. Then there's the Raging Judge, which is the Judge, but 454 Casull, and also big chunky bull barrel. Which is weird because they still make it in like a 2-inch barrel variety. It's just, it's one of those things. The Taurus Judge is one of those handguns that is basically the answer to a question that nobody asked. It's like there's the whole novelty of a revolver that shoots shotgun shells. There's a certain degree of Borderlands we can blame for that. I see you. Okay, is it just me, or is it like not worth it trying to hunt a raccoon with a shotgun? Okay, apparently this one is dead. See, well, the dog's paying attention. That kind of goes back to the whole defensive load. How much does a defensive load for 410 cost? Midway USA. Okay. Hornady critical defense. Okay, box of 20 is about 20 bucks. Okay. Alright, dead raccoon. So really, yeah, Hornady critical defense is, this is a polymer tip FTX slug and 2-round balls. Box of 20. Midway USA is selling for about 20 bucks. That's about a buck a shot. Okay, let's find. $9mm Luger. Hornady critical defense. 150 grade FTX polymer tip. Box of 25. About 27 bucks. We're not even going to start pricing 45 ACP because for some reason 45 is like double the price. It's stupidly expensive. Honestly, for the price of ammunition, might as well just go ahead and stick with. If you're looking for defensive load, just go ahead and get 10mm. Full power 10mm auto is definitively more powerful than 9mm or 45. Just make sure you actually pick a piece of hardware that's actually capable of handling it. Like one of the most iconic 10mm 1911s is the Delta Elite. There are certain law enforcement agencies that pick that up, and this is kind of funny. There's a thing about 10mm auto that for some reason there is a small little notch that they cut out because it was a stress accumulation point. For some reason, like just behind where the slide catch is, like just about right in that area, there's a stress accumulation point for 10mm auto that caused 1911 frames to crack. Why, I don't know. But designers of Colt took the most bubbled up solution they could possibly think of and literally just cut that part out. Okay, something died around here. Okay. Must be an old one. Yeah, one day I was actually just... Uh-oh. Straight up pricing difference between 9mm and 10mm. That's the fight for the price. May as well just go ahead and shoot 10 mil. That said, 10 mil is also kind of notorious for being a little rough on the shooter. Which is kind of one of the reasons why the FBI stopped using it. Okay, where the fuck did this damn bunny go? Okay, so rabbit, very fresh, obviously. Aha, we have a trail. And a fleeing bunny. Okay, a alligator here is starting to get on my nerves. No, I do not like having a gator that close to my tent. Okay, that bear is on the other side of the river. Why is he loud enough that he sounds like he's in my ear? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and use the call. Hopefully it'll get that gator in. I am going to take a quick look. It's one of those things, like I keep trying to justify why we have a 410 bore. It's like, yeah, for bunnies, singular birds like a capercaillie or something like that, that's fine. Of great little survival shotgun, but at the same time, it's like I think for bunnies, I'd rather have a 22 Hornet, 22 Hornet, 22 Magnum. Okay, so clearly all we need to do is just wait long enough and like it'll chill a little bit. It should end up coming back. That's concerning. That's the second set of gator tracks that's completely separate from the one we're trying to call in. Hmm. That's kind of weird to think Twitch may have gotten the thumbnails wrong on Joel's streams. It's got porcelain made saying that he played Bioshock 2 a week ago and Bioshock 1 8 hours ago. And it's the other way around. He was on Bioshock 2. Last I checked on him. Bioshock is one of those games that it's kind of hard to watch some people play, especially if they like are really, really bad at shooters. I don't know how good Porcelain Made is at shooters, but okay, where in the fuck is the skater at? So obviously, I know I spooked it by just walking up on it, but I am now pretty securely out of sight because I'm up in a fucking tree. We've got our collar. Whitetail. Oh, it's like I do, but I don't. Is it a shot I can make? Yes. Can I actively get across there? Probably not. Unless there is a bridge somewhere. What the? Oh. Do tell. Ooh, Jesus. He's just... Okay, I get it, they were trying to go for like a river monster kind of thing, but my God, did you have to give him fucking glowing red eyes? I mean, come on, Des. It's an alligator. It's not a goddamn demon. Ah, so that was the one I got. That was the one that was hanging out here earlier. I caught him in the tail earlier before. All right. Okay, go ahead and get our lure back. Okay, scan around, see if we got a dead gator somewhere in here. Kind of doubt it, because for some reason the gators don't like to die when shot at. See, I think we may be able to get across here through here. Die, you fucker. Never fails, raccoons always like to pick the most god-awful scrub to hang out in. Okay, so we got a little bit of a situation here. We got two different raccoons. One of them's dead, one of them's probably dead, but possibly not. Okay, so okay, dead raccoon. Damn. It's one of those things you'd think they learned to maybe stop running away. Not gonna lie, was not expecting to see this big ass alligator comes wandering out of the bush. Oh, there he is. Yeah, he was trying. Yes, indeed, he was trying and dying. I just can't help but look at this and be a little bit of a giggle here. 3 long guns, 2 handguns. It's like every time I try to kind of simplify my loadout a little bit and maybe like not do that, what do I end up bringing? Everything but the kitchen sink. That's kind of the thing about it. It's like super quick to reload this double barrel. For some reason, that single shot 410 bore just takes so much longer. Like your character is fumbling through a pocket trying to find the shell. There's some feral bacon getting away. That is a knife tip. Okay, so apparently they were checking kitchen knives at the wall, or the fence. Don't have a problem throwing knives, but at the same time, it's like, oh god, that's a lot of hooch. Okay. Happy the Smiling Gator's wearing a cowboy hat. Ding 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 ding. And it's like, yeah, that's all fine and dandy, have your fun, blah 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 blah. Get to be a little less redneck about it. Okay, so let me think here. It's kind of those things. It's like I don't like leaving the house without these two. I need to have a shotgun. Okay. There's a 223. The muzzle loader. Gonna take this guy and see 3030 is a 2 to 6. Oh, duh. Need to grab a 308. .450. I think this is based on .450 Buckhammer. See, .450 Bushmaster. Oh, that's what it is right there. That's it, 100%. .450 Bushmaster. Compared to .450 Buckhammer. There is a .450 Buckhammer, right? And there's a 350 and a 360. Okay, it is Bushmaster. All right, 360 Buckhammer, .450 Bushmaster. All right. It's a weird hunting cartridge. I don't give a shit. Okay. I speak 5.56 and 7.62. Okay. Guess we got our all-in-wonder 308. Let's see what looks like it'd be fun to roll with for a little bit. Okay, so that's going to be a 375 H&H Magnum. Basically, yeah, elephant gun. Okay, this is a 2-6. Somebody has ding scored. Okay. Apparently there is a wild split in here somewhere. Being a stealth lurker this time. Okay, so I gotta admit, this is one of the weirdest sight configurations I've seen in a while, and it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Ideally, you want that rear sight base to be as far back as possible. Long sight radius is easy to aim. But of course, we're using an optic. God, that's just such a weird gun. There's something odd about pump action rifles. Like, okay, Red Dead Redemption 2 has a pump action 22. This is an actual pump action you can actually find if you can find one like at an auction. I forgot what it's called, but there's an actual pump action 22 designed specifically to be a varmint rifle. So when you up that to this 275 or 257, I mean, anything more hardcore than a 22 is just a weird gun to me. I think it's probably due to the fact that when it comes to pump actions, we're more used to shotguns being pump action. Somebody made a pump action AR, though. That's a bit of a misnomer. It's not really a pump action AR. It has a pump on it, but instead of the charging handle, it uses a sliding pump instead. Which I don't really see the need for that. It's kind of one of those things, if you pull the trigger and it goes click instead of bang when it's supposed to go bang, it's one of those things where you just stop, let it sit for 30 seconds, and then figure out if you're having some other kind of mechanical malfunction. It's one of those things that happens with it's one of those things that happens with really crappy ammunition. It's called a hang fire. Now, most muzzle loaders that are like a flintlock, if you have a center fire that sounds like that, that's a hang fire. If it goes click, bam, instead of just bang. Where am I even going, by the way? Okay, we're looking for a shallow spot so we can cross this little puddle. Asking you shall receive. Hmm. Okay, so there's a boat over there, which means there should be a boat somewhere over here. I need 4570. Okay, I'm guessing I didn't get quite as good a hit on that gator as I thought I did. Nope, I did. He did. Ah, there he is. Man, took your time, didn't you? Yeah, that was a bad hit. Okay, let's go ahead and hang out in the swamp for a little bit. Try not to get trench foot. Okay. I'm kind of thinking I should probably be waiting a little bit here because sometimes gators will take a bit to die. At the same time, I'm thinking this is one of those bulletproof fuckers. That's just kind of what it's looking like. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to call it we didn't get him. something went bounding off this way. What is this? It was okay, that was a whitetail like I thought. Oh, what the hell is the dog doing? Yeah, as useful as this dog is, dog meat he is not. Yeah, dog meat would actually go around and find stim packs, ammo, weapons. You could tell he probably used to be a police attack dog or something like that. Well, actually, that wouldn't even make sense because it would be like 200 years after there's any such concept of a cop. But you can teach him to do that, you know, the attack dog shit. Well, alligator's dead. There you be. This dog, for some reason, is in Tharsis. That's on Mars. Yeah, Split ended up sending me a little bit of a weird article on Discord about a politician making a statement that was really stupid, and I will check that out later. But yeah, I kind of don't know if I should mention that on stream or not. Oh boy. Okay, the dog's going to go on the incredible journey trying to get back to us through dark of night and sheeting rain. Braving the treacherous cliffs of Dover and the fetid swamps of the south, the dog has finally arrived. You know, dog, you're useful, like very useful, but at the same time, you're a fucking idiot. And that right there, children, is one reason not to move to the bayou. Can't wait for us, see if we get hunting pressure. I don't necessarily like to mag dump into a gator, but at the same time, I also don't want to get my ass eaten, you know? He says the thing about it, it's basically a dinosaur. And he's down. Again, took his sweet time. That's one of the things that kind of makes you wonder why they don't ever touch on that in like the Jurassic series. It's like they try to make these strides at presenting, real world information about what dinosaurs actually look like. Like you have Jurassic World Dominion. What is it? No, Fallen King. What was Dominion? The one before the most recent shit show. Ooh. Where they have the feathered Pyroraptor, which is a fucking stupid name. But they point out they actually started showing raptors with feathers. Granted, it kind of breaks the kind of canon and tradition of the story. But, they're kind of trying to go for that. If you're trying to make something that's you know, like Rebirth shows up and they're trying to basically go back to, something more akin to the original film, dog, will you get your ass over here? It's like instead of making, a mutant Spinosaur, make something like a Sarcosuchus, make it a crocodilian. Because, like, we still have, you know, gators and crocodiles, right? Focus on, like, the prehistoric versions, the big ones. The ones with the long limbs that fucking gallop after your ass at 35 miles an hour. It's just, it's like Jurassic World Rebirth shows up, and from what I've seen from the reviewers of it, uh, I have no interest in seeing that movie. Fuck you, Yogi. Go away. Yeah, it's like what we've seen with the entire Jurassic franchise pretty much ever since Mike died. That whole series basically has completely missed the point of the original show. And to a little bit of an extent, we can kind of sort of blame Steven Spielberg for that because he's looking to get, the wonder, dinosaur, dinosaur park. It's Dinosaur National Park with actual dinosaurs in it. He's going for the wow factor, right? And completely ignoring the fact that, you know, if you ever read the book or even the audiobook, yeah, Jurassic Park's not supposed to be amazing. It's supposed to be a fucking horror story. In actual interviews, Michael Crichton kind of pointed out that, yeah, genetic power is like something you really don't want to fuck with. He brought up a case in one interview with, I believe it was Charlie Rose, I think, talking about a hypothetical situation. Say you were to engineer a virus or a fungus or some other kind of
The new
pathogen.
movie is supposed to be more based off the book and a horror movie.
Yeah, except if you watch like The Little Platoon, Altiori, pretty much anybody that's actually seen it, it has nothing to do with the original book. It's not horrifying. It's freaking stupid as hell. There's things that just happen for no reason. There also appears to be a very kind of pro-communist, anti-gun message, which is weird. But anyway, going back to what Michael Crichton was saying, um, This is an interview. This is an interview with Charlie Rose, and I think that's the guy that was the interviewer. And he points out that you could, theoretically, say a lab somewhere makes a virus that is adaptable and interferes with plants' photosynthesis. Well, all of a sudden, plants can no longer photosynthesize, which means they can no longer produce oxygen, which means the entire biosphere dies. One short sighted genetic idiot could, through tweaking one gene, basically destroy all life on Earth. And I guess I was kind of hoping that we were not actually at that point. And yeah, that's a pretty good thing to be maybe a little cautious of, you know? There's also kind of a thing within Michael Crichton's books. I think he actually had a medical doctorate, and every so often when he wrote, you'd see he kind of liked to flex his brain a little bit, you know? Yeah, so for everybody's putting out the new movie, Scarlett Johansson is. Everybody knows she can act. In this one, she's basically just playing herself. They gave her this goofy airgun tranquilizer thing that has this weird gimmick where it like shoots into a dinosaur and like takes a blood sample that then pops into the air like a rocket with a little parachute. In the overall story itself, they have to find the three biggest dinosaurs and get blood samples because they have the three biggest hearts. They're trying to cure heart disease, and it's a video game checklist. Is all it is. It's like that's the whole justification for them doing this, and it's just, everybody points out you have genetic capabilities that you obviously made these things in a lab. Why could you not just like make your own version of the dinosaur? Somebody has to have had this around. you know, it's like it doesn't pay attention to the science. It doesn't pay attention to like reality. Uh, it completely ignores like what's already been established in previous movies. Like Dominion, dinosaurs were now part of the world and just there and fully acclimatized. But in Rebirth, apparently they're all dying off because there's not enough oxygen, with the exception of around the equator for some reason. It's one of those things. You kind of come to the realization that if you have a smart character that's written by an idiot trying to pretend to be smart, you end up getting a lot of nonsensical shit like that. Okay, what else was I low on? Oh, that's right. I'm out of 308. Yeah, the whole thing is they need to go down to some random ass Spanish named island find apparently an Apatosaurus or something like that, some kind of Titanosaur, the Mosasaur, and the Quetzalcoatlus. Take blood samples for some reason. Supposedly, this is somehow going to cure heart disease. They end up going down there, and for some reason, there's like a family of idiots that's also on a yachting vacation that somehow managed to steer into waters that are supposed to be heavily protected and patrolled. And well, that's actually doesn't make any sense because the ocean is a huge place. You really kind of can't do that. There's kind of a reason why once you get 25 miles offshore, it's called international water because nobody actually has jurisdiction there. And yeah, you can actually do whatever the hell you want. Want to distill whiskey while walking around butt naked 24/7? You can do that. So anyway, they get down there and they somehow end up meeting up with this yachting family after the Mosasaur attacks them for some reason. The Mosasaur, for some reason, is working with the Spinosaurs, which are not the classic Spinosaur. What the fuck? There's a goddamn rabbit around here, and I'm going to find his ass and bust it. So yeah, the family's yacht gets fucked. They end up on Scarlett Johansson's mercenary boat, which ends up getting chased by the Mosasaur. God damn it, stop walking. I have just enough stick drift that if I don't get it just right. Did not mean to do that. Okay. I need to fast travel somewhere else because I am slowly but surely making my way out of the preserve. Okay. So anyway, yeah, the family ends up on you know Scourge's mercenary boat. Uh, what they're doing down there is extremely illegal. So when the Mosasaur attacks the boat, go figure, she tries to call the Coast Guard. There's this corporal business guy there. That's the guy that's actually trying to cure heart disease. He stops her from doing that because obviously, if they crap. Obviously, if they end up, spilling the beans that they're illegally, they get fucked. All kinds of legal headaches. So they're in the middle of this really hectic, chaotic scene where, for some reason, the daughter of the family decides to try to push the guy. She's like, maybe 80 pounds soaking wet versus a full grown adult man. She manages to push herself off the boat. She's kind of hanging there about the thing and, getting, you know, dragged off because the boat's still speeding through the water. And he's just kind of flabbergasted and kind of stun locked. Looks at her and, well, she falls off. She somehow takes this as him trying to kill her, and no, he didn't. You pushed yourself in a very chaotic scene. He was probably just too dumbfounded to, you know, think of what he could possibly have done to help. you know, And here's the thing: people that have reviewed this have shown this scene. Yes, she pushes herself off the boat and blames him for trying to kill her. And it's like, no, he didn't. You're an idiot. It's like that is the closest thing that the bad guy, that's supposedly the bad guy, ever actually does to being bad. Just like sit there flabbergasted. She pushes herself off, and he's just looking at her like, oh well, I didn't know. I thought maybe you wanted to do that. It seemed kind of deliberate. It's like this is the thing with modern Hollywood. It's like you find people that are writing these big budget movies, and they don't know their ass from their elbow. It's like you might as well just go ahead and got an AI to do it, because at least an AI would have built off of the lore that had been previously established in the previous film. But yeah, there's so much other stupid shit that happens that just makes you wonder, how did this get greenlit? And then there's also the Distortus Rex, the D-Rex thing. Okay, so here's the thing. They start off by showing a lab failure of this dude that's a lab worker that's fumbling with a Snickers. And this is like one of the more infamous scenes in the movie. It starts off at the very beginning. That's what you get for nipping at me, you motherfucker. Okay. So yeah, basically the guy's all here in a clean suit and he's got the Snickers, right? He eats his candy bar and somehow fumbles it before going in and drops the wrapper. What causes a malfunction with the door, for some reason, is the wrapper gets sucked up into it, and it causes the door to malfunction. At which point they all freak out, everything, all hell breaks loose, and this poor guy that was just having a snack, which shouldn't even have been a possible thing if you're in a clean room, ends up getting locked inside with the D-Rex, right? Now here's the thing, the D-Rex is still there, like 17 years later, in the same enclosure, and you actually look at it, it is so stupidly huge. There's no way it could have fit through in the first place. They could have opened the door for that guy. They didn't. It's like they wanted the dude to die. Apparently they had a problem with him and his love for Snickers. Yeah, that's the whole thing about it. It's like his candy bar wrapper gets stuck in the door, which causes a jam. They ended up freaking out, forcing the door closed. He gets stuck inside and gets eaten like a fucking candy bar. But again, this D-Rex is so big that he can't get out of that enclosure in the first place. It might have been able to reach through a little ways, but yeah, 17 years later, it's still there. Which doesn't make any sense because it would have had to have been fed somehow. I mean, the actual height of the creature changes depending on what scene it's in. Sometimes it's kind of sort of T-Rexy size. Sometimes it's borderline small Godzilla size. It raises the question of whether or not they actually had a proper design sheet. So when I say a proper design sheet, basically, it's like if you've ever seen like somebody's like makes a character sheet for like on DeviantArt or something like that, where they show off their like OC furry character or whatever, you'll see that they have various proportions, various color schemes, various colors that are supposed to be canon to the character. How tall they're supposed to be, how fit they're supposed to be, etc., etc., etc. How tall they are in comparison to the rest of the world around them. Well, with the D-Rex, it seems like they kind of ignored that, and we're basically just kind of, like, it's weird. It's like they just didn't even bother paying attention to the fact that this thing is supposed to be, the same size between scenes. The actual Wikipedia article, or wiki article, points out that there's a little bit of a contention between how big this thing is supposed to be. Not to mention, just the design of it itself is just fucking stupid. It doesn't make any sense. For starters, for some reason, it has 6 limbs. It's got 2 scrawny little back legs, which doesn't make any sense if it has any kind of T-Rex DNA. It has these 2 big, huge front forelimbs, and just kind of gorillas its way around. It's also got like 2 nipple arms for some reason, and a spermaceti organ on its head. It's like, okay, you saw a Ridley Scott movie back in the 80s, and for some reason you're still jerking off to it. So you decide to make your own, and well, this is what you got. Like somebody went down to the creature department and said, "Oi, we want to make a monster. Draw the Cloverfield monster directly from memory." That monster wasn't really the most shown, so we kind of only half remember it. Just to make it anyway. Right, right, right. Okay, what does he want? I don't know, just fucking doodle something. Yeah, the whole point of Jurassic Park being a cautionary tale about the power of genetic engineering and the fact that, yeah, one hypothetical, you can bring ancient creatures back to life. On the other hand, there's also the fact that you could also end up not making an ancient creature, but instead making a hybrid monster instead. It's supposed to be a cautionary tale of just mankind's hubris and thinking that he got it right. The fact that there was cost-cutting measures and corner cutting on things like security, things like just the logistics of keeping all these creatures actually fed. So like how much power it would take to keep a massive electrical fence operational, especially through a storm. It's kind of more like the fact that John Hammond basically just wanted this to be a thing so badly. Dead. It kind of didn't matter. What he had to do to make it happen. And the end result was this survival horror nightmare, right? Well, along comes pretty much every movie since then. Oh, God. Okay. And they pretty much completely ignored that lesson. Because, oh, mommy, look at the dinosaur. Also, for some reason in Rebirth, there's like this weird temple thing that they say looks ancient, but like it was carved. It looked like the mouth of a dinosaur, which doesn't make any sense. And it's like at that point they clearly forgot that they were not writing Kong Skull Island, right? That was one of those things that it kind of feels like they kind of forgot which movie they were making. But yeah, that's enough of that. It's like I've seen all the reviews. Everybody points out this is kind of a bunch of wank. That was the bird shot. Kind of funny just how much a rabbit ends up, not a rabbit, a raccoon. Well, even the rabbits too, end up leaving just like gouge through the shrubbery. I guess I realized that's two bunnies in a row that I shot with buckshot instead of birdshot. Fuck them. Yeah, if you think about it, technically the Jurassic franchise should have stopped after the second movie. Like Jurassic Park 3 did not need to exist. And here's the thing, both the first and second movies were based on books by Michael Crichton. Whereas the third, Mike had died at that point. Bulletproof stick. Damn it. Alright, now I'm just wasting ammo. I'm not that committed to harassing an alligator. Yeah, Jurassic Park and Lost World Jurassic Park 2 were both written by Michael Crichton. Jurassic Park 3, Mike was already dead, so that one really should not have happened. It's kind of interesting that they kind of tried to incorporate new knowledge by giving the raptors quills, but at the same time, it didn't make any sense that they would have had quills because that's not actually a raptor. It's a genetic hybrid. And yeah, Mike died, so they kind of started losing the point of the plot, you know? Yeah, Michael Crichton died in, I think, 2008. due to, I think, pancreatic cancer. And honestly, on the one hand, yeah, he ended up leaving the world way too soon. On the other hand, it's probably a good thing that he died when he did. Because if we see how Hollywood has been treating probably his most famous franchise, most popular. Ooh, I can just about guarantee you that Universal's legal department would end up doing everything they could to make his life absolutely miserable if he was still alive. Oh shit. Okay. I don't think Parker was particularly appreciating that death. Yeah, it's kind of funny. There's been so many movies that come out recently that are just absolutely terrible and have like seriously been just bombing hard. It's like Fantastic Four got a remake or reinvention or something weird. I don't know what the hell they were doing with that one. It's like we've already had like several Fantastic Four movies, and then they do this goofy Fantastic Four First Steps, which perhaps for art style and visual design, but at the same time, yeah, why is Reed Richards played by Pedro Pascal? Yeah, I mean, that just seems like a serious miscasting. For starters, I think we all can kind of have to acknowledge that Pedro's kind of a weird guy. You actually see any of like his social media stuff, and that weird thing with the hands on everybody like getting all touchy feely with his face. That what the fuck was that? Jesus Christ! On top of that, it's just yeah, he's supposed to be playing Reed Richards, who's supposed to be a bright young scientist, right? Which means 20 to 30ish something, right? Pedro's 50, and he looks it. I mean, it's like, yeah, we know he can act, but I think that his career probably would have been better if he never took the Mandalorian's helmet off. And it's not any kind of thing about how he looks. It's just that the Mandalorian was kind of one of those characters that should have been kind of like Judge Dredd, right? You're not supposed to actually see his face. But then, for some reason, they just started putting his ass in everything. Yeah, so far, from what I've seen, Fantastic Four First Steps is not necessarily the worst. It's not good by any stretch, but, at least we can say it's not Snow White level bad. Yeah, that movie basically bombed before it came out because Rachel Ziegler does not know how to shut the fuck up. Instead, no, she has to wear her politics on her sleeve and spray paint it all over Instagram. And like every time she tweets, the movie loses $10 million. It actually got so bad that they had to hire a minder for her to fucking take away her phone and rubber band napkins to her fingertips so she didn't hurt herself. Yeah, she also got onto. She got cast as the lead role in Evita on a production in London West End. Big, huge real life, live action theater kind of spiel, right? So here's what they decided would be a genius thing to do. People pay $500, actually £500. It's Britain for seats for a live show. And for the iconic Don't Cry For Me Argentina song, instead of doing that in the theater for the customers that paid for it, Rachel Ziegler walks out onto an actual balcony overlooking the street in London and starts belting this out to just random people in the street. Whereby the audience gets to look at the back of her head and a monitor that shows what is happening outside. Keep in mind, they paid 500 quid to sit there in a theater and look at the back of Rachel Ziegler's head. Yeah, it's weird how in media and just kind of everywhere you go, it's like we live in this weird world which seems to be dominated by this just aggressive stupidity. And you know, it's like at this point, I'm just waiting for China to drop the bombs. Yeah. It's kind of funny. Brandon Herr pointed out that the whole situation in Ukraine was kind of mimicking the lead up to Escape from Tarkov. The rest of the world, on the other hand, is leading up to the setup for Fallout. Anyway,